We can begin.
Yes, Miss Sagrika have also joined.
We are already live. Let's begin. All the best.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Whichever part of the world you are joining us from, GCPIT, Global Council for Promotion of International Trade, welcomes you all. And we are here with this beautiful evening for Leadership Roundtable Interaction on Sustaining and Nurturing a Value-Driven Organization. I am Ananya Banerjee Chatterjee, the R&D and Communication Officer of GCPIT, and your host for the evening. This interactive virtual event will bring together experts and thought leaders from various industries to discuss the challenges and opportunities in building and sustaining a value driven organization. I welcome you all. Let's begin this interactive event. So, today we have with us Dr. Jackie Taylor, founder of Flying Binary. She is 15 most influential woman in UK technology and 21 most inspiring women in cyber. She was awarded an honorary doctorate of science in recognition of her international web science work on equity for the industrial internet of things. One of the 250 founders Tech City in 2016, she provided her company Flying Binary to meet the challenges of Web 3.0, the metaverse and the industrial internet of things with spectacular results. A procurement specialist in leveraging technology innovation. She is an expert advisor of United Nations, one of the original member of HM government G Cloud O team, which created in the initial cloud first procurement strategy. Her company is one of the only 119 companies assured to supply AI services across the UK government, and she will be delivering a keynote speech on the topic sustaining and nurturing a value driven organization. Welcome, Dr. Taylor, and over to you.
Thank you. Really delighted to be here with you all today. So great introduction. I really appreciate that. And I'm the co-founder and CEO of Flying Binary. I'm an aerospace engineer and I wear many global hats. But I think for today, the focus I want to bring is the 24 years of evidence-based global web science research that looks at the impact technology has on our whole society. And in 2009, I co-founded Flying Binary with a fellow engineer. He's an electrical engineer. And we co-founded deliberately. People have asked me, did you do this deliberately? Yes, very deliberately. A value-based organization, because the web science research that I was doing projected forward to 2020 in 2009 and showed me that that would be where we would need to build for. As an organization, we're a holacracy, and I don't know how many of you know in the way in which organizations work, but essentially we have no hierarchy in our company. We're not typical necessarily of a holacracy organization. We have a different leadership model. I'm sure we'll discuss that later. But what I've been doing since 2009 is building deep tech to unlock the talents of Generation Z. Those were the initial cohort that we focused on. But since my speech in Davos in January 2019, we've transferred that focus to Gen Alpha. And that equity mission is the whole purpose of what we do and the value we bring. And by that, I mean leaving no one behind by the technology that we build. But what we also do, which I think is really important for our conversation today, is we bring the unheard voices of the world to the tables of power. And so far, we've positively impacted over half the world's population. But don't worry, we're not finished. And in 2016, I evidenced that the sharing economy, the technology that was built to bring us all online, was having a negative impact across our whole society. And I founded the empathy economy. I spent the whole of 2017 creating the technology that would underpin a change in direction for technology across our world for the industrial Internet of Things. And the key thing I want to sort of set on the table today is that requires a new business model. It's not a for-profit model. It's actually not a for-purpose model for those of you that work in the third sector that are NGO focused, but it's a profit for purpose. And what it also has is new commercial models, complicated to get into in the few minutes I've got here, but they require collaboration and not competition. That's the fundamental difference between the sharing economy most of you are using and the empathy economy that I founded. And as you've already heard, I was awarded an honorary Doctorate of Science to recognise the contribution that brings to our society. So today, over 10 million entrepreneurs in 172 of the 198 UN countries are using empathy economy technology to create impact across the world. And our discussion today is going to highlight the best practices for companies like ours, value-driven companies. I want to give you one extra thing to sort of set the scene for our conversation today is 30% of our global workforce is under 30. Maybe that matters, maybe it doesn't. It matters a lot because value-driven organizations are the organizations that they want to work for. They're the replacement for the power-based organizations. So if they're under 30, then maybe Generation Z. This is the web science research that I've been building over the last 24 years. Generation Z between the ages of 30 to 20 in web science terms, Generation Alpha 20 to 10, and Generation Beta. Our value-driven organizations align with their values and that we are that future. So what I want to do is hand over to Hussaina and Anya now to moderate our panel discussion on building that and sustaining those value-driven organizations. Handing back to you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. So now we will start with our panel discussion, and the topic for panel discussion is best practices for building and sustaining a value-driven organization. So before we start, I would like to introduce our 4 panelists and along with our moderator. So our first panelist is Dr. Nadira Maharaj, Inclusive Education Strategy, South Africa. She has completed PhD in Curriculum Studies, Senior Academic and Researcher, with 30 years of working experience acquired across a wide range of demanding roles within the education sector. She is Deputy Principal at a full-service school, serving as a cluster coordinator for curriculum and assessment chairperson. She was nominated for National Teachers Awards representing Umlazi district in 2021 for inclusive education. Welcome, Dr. Nadira.
Thank you very much, Ananya, for the introduction. Yes, I bring you greetings. Good evening. It's afternoon in South Africa. And as Ananya has said, I am an inclusive education specialist. And I think this inclusivity begins from grassroots because each one of us come from different paradigms and we come together. So yes, we bring to this melting pot a host of values and culture. And I think we're going to grow from strength to strength, just talking about a value-driven workstation.
Great. So our second panelist is Ms. Shelley Brunswick, Chief Operating Officer, Space Foundation. She brings a broad perspective of global space and ecosystem from a distinguished career as a space acquisition and program management leader and license for US Air Force to her current role, including overseeing Center for Innovation and Education and Global Alliance. She is one of only 35 women worldwide to be selected by the UN as a member of a Space for Women program. Welcome, Ms. Brunswick.
Well, thank you so much. It's an honor to be joining you today. And I'm looking forward to an exciting dialogue and exchange of ideas. And I look forward to talking about lessons I've learned as a mentor for Space for Women for the United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs, how we can create an interstellar guide to success to help others find their way into industries, whether it's the space industry or other industries. And then ultimately, how do we talk about leadership? How do we create the leaders we need today and for the future? So I think this is going to be a robust discussion. And again, I'm honored to join you. And I don't know where all our listeners are from, but I'm from Colorado here in the United States. So I hope everyone's having a wonderful morning or evening or afternoon, wherever you are. Again, a pleasure to join you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. So our next panelist is Ms. Sagarika Sahu, founder WXPO. Sagarika's career has spanned across investment consulting, new market entry strategy, event curation and management, market research, media and advertising, marketing and corporate communication in investment and trade, business consultancy, event, travel, finance, fashion, and advertising industry, and the UAE semi-government establishments for 25 plus years. Ms. Sagarika is an award-winning serial entrepreneur, international business strategies, minds expert, and even solutions provider, and who founded Commerce Connect in year 2014. Welcome, Ms. Sagarika.
Thank you so much, dear. And greetings from Dubai. And it's wonderful to be with such an ardent group of people here. And I'm sure we're going to have an amazing time and share our experiences and knowledges with everybody around the globe. So
Thank you.
a pleasure being here.
Thank you. So once again, our last release was not last. Dr. Taylor, Jackie Taylor, she is 15 most influential women in UK technology and 21 most inspiring women in cyber. She was awarded an honorary doctorate of science in recognition of her international web science work on equity for the industrial Internet of Things. One of the 250 founders, Tech City, in 2016, she provided her company, Flying Binary, to meet the challenges of Web 3.0, the metaverse, and the industrial Internet of Things with spectacular results. A procurement specialist in leveraging technology innovation, she is an expert advisor of United Nations, one of the original member of HM government G Cloud OT, which created in the initial cloud first procurement strategy. Her company is one of the only 119 companies assured to supply AI services across the UK government. Welcome, Dr. Taylor. Once again.
Delighted to be here with you all. Really looking forward to this panel discussion and looking forward to some questions from the audience as well.
Great. So thank you. And lastly, I would like to introduce our moderator, Ms. Hassana Sabir. She is a growth marketer, persuasive copywriter, and funnel strategies, and the founder of GrowthXI.co. She believes in using the combination of science and art to create digital assets to her clients, which aids them to get good ROI. Using persuasive copywriting and funnel strategies to build online presence, which are backed with scientific and process-oriented research, is a forte. With her proven ability to trigger psychological aspects for creating a persuasive and impactful marketing copy, over the past 3 years, she has helped multiple brands and coaches. She has ghostwritten for many C-level executives and business leaders and helped them build their online presence. Welcome, Ms. Susanna, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Ananya. I'm really happy to be a part of this panel discussion and moderate and facilitate it further for the conversation. As she told, I'm a growth marketer, and today we are here to talk about a very important topic. Well, at least in our opinion, maybe we are biased. So from that point of departure, we are going to have conversations on two levels. That's what I have, planned the moderation. One, at level one, we will be talking about the micro levels where we'll be going to touch the realities of the day-to-day challenges organizations face. And afterwards, we'll be looking at the ecosystem at the whole and what are some of the levers that we are being pulled or maybe we need to be pulled in order to build a sustainable and value-driven organization in new, different and worthwhile directions within the broader ecosystem. So to begin with the micro level, I would like to open up with a question to Ms. Sagarika Sahu. And the propagestin of this question is the recent post I saw on WXPO, it's a LinkedIn page. Sustainable business comes with goals. We all work on us. We create a robust ecosystem and encourage all around us to work on theirs. So you are not a thought leader of the industry, but a trendsetter. Am I right, Ms. Sagarika?
Yeah, thank you so much for quoting the recent Wexpo quote that we have just put up now. This is very, very valuable for me because this particular post came up with a lot of discussions I was having around people with me. And a lot of them unconsciously use the sustainable goals in their day-to-day lives without realizing they're a part of the UN Sustainable Goals, 17 goals that are present. So it was very interesting for me to start talking to a few people around me and saying that, yes, you are already a thought leader in your own special way, and you are trend setting. So why not use the SDG goals to talk about your projects in a whole?
Okay, so my first question to you is, how can organization balance the need to deliver short-term results with the importance of investing in long-term growths? And what, according to you, are the best practices for managing this sort of tension in an organization?
So the most important thing is when you're setting your short-term goals, it always goes both ways, your professional and your personal goals, and they integrate together to form your long-term goals. So in an organization, when you are setting your short-term goals, you are looking at how are you actually supporting the complete ecosystem. And in your ecosystem, you get in your long-term goals involved in it. So supposing I'm talking about an organization which is working on projects, and where are those projects moving to? Are those projects talking about integrity? Are they talking about your core values? Are they talking about something that you are looking to create a legacy? And that's where your goals come into play. And when you're talking about your legacy in a particular project, what are you moving towards? So when I created for my organization, as when she got me introduced, I've started creating a lot of legacy-based community projects for myself. One of them being Wexpo, which is a women's expo. And my aim is to bring 1 million women projects who are working on SDG goals. So that's my aim, and that's my long-term project. But the short-term project now is to first start the awareness that, yes, your project is moving towards an SDG goal, and how can you actually involve it in your particular day-to-day lives? So once you build it depends on which part of the funnel you are currently. Are you in the awareness stage? Are you building up your projects? Are you way into your projects? Are you ending the projects and already created a legacy? So it's very important on which cycle of it is. But Wexpo being a new project launched in 2020, my experience with government and my own company for the last 9 years has helped me create the base of this project. So it's very important that you as an individual, your personal goals integrate into your professional goals. And that's the way you'll create long-term and short-term legacies for yourself.
Thank you so much. That was a fantastic distinguishing between long-term and short-term in a broader perspective. Now, moving to the next question, I would like to ask Dr. Jackie Taylor, from her perspective of being a multi-level influencer and advisor, how can leaders create a culture of accountability within their organization? And what, according to you, are the strategies that have worked in past and of some of the common pitfalls that one should avoid?
Right, well, I really love the question. Thanks, Susaina, but mainly because I deliberately said we're a holacracy organization, and people say to me, did you do that deliberately? And the answer is I did. And the reason that that's questioned is because it's for those that are under 30, they will not work in a hierarchical organization, or if they do, they don't stay. So I've spent the 24 years understanding what that means. And one of the negative or downsides of a holacracy where there is no hierarchical structure is around accountability. And so it's really important that you establish something that enables that. But equally, when you're in an innovation space like Flying Binary is, you have to be able to understand at a base level, good ideas come from everywhere, inside, outside the company, from your grandma, from your 3-year-old climate entrepreneur who's my youngest entrepreneur I'm mentoring. You have to be open to that innovation space. So that to me is around the leadership model that it doesn't bind, but it's like a holistic environment in which a company, a value-driven company, organizes itself. I think one of the keys to it is one of the things I said in my opening. As we move into the industrial Internet of Things, it's not possible to operate a competitive structure. The reason being that actually there is no central point of control. It's decentralized. So collaborative is actually the way forward, and that builds leadership. And for me, that's really the responsibility I took on in December 2016 when I formed the Empathy Economy, was to understand that distributed model, that leadership model, and how, as it turns out today, over 10 million entrepreneurs can be accountable, responsible, but autonomous within that model. And effectively, we use empathy economy technology. None of the things that you will build your communities on today do we use to connect with ourselves. You can't find us online unless you're invited in, then you won't know us. But the thing about the new cohort, as I said, 30% of the workforce, the global workforce, is under 30. That is how they operate with technology. And more than anything, they don't relate to for-profit models for the simple reason that they know they can earn money. These are a really savvy bunch of young people, and money is just a given. They can do that. That's like tick done. But what they are very focused on is what purpose. So if ever I talk to anybody that I'm working with within my organization, external to it as an advisor to the many sort of organizations and institutions I advise, always what I do is talk about what our shared values are. And so for me, that is the core of the leadership in this new model. And the reason that I say that holacracy is the way in which the empathy economy works, but it is actually framed, or it's holistically within this new model of leadership, which is founded, it's like the golden thread is shared values. So very different, I realize, for many of you who are listening, but very much the way our industrial Internet of Things works.
Thank you so much for such a fantastic answer. And I can completely relate to it, because money is not what always drives you towards your passion. And that's how I even have built my career around. That was not one of the factors which I jumped into this, building my own business and all. I always wanted recognition and wanted to share my values to the world. So, and one more thing, the power of holacracy is really dynamic. So, we need to get that into picture and create awareness about it. So my next question goes to Dr. Nadira, as she has revolved her career around as being an educator, an inclusive strategist, and team builder. My question to you is, how according to you, can organizations create a more diverse and inclusive workforce? And why is it important to be inclusive for their long-term success? What are some of the great practices in recruiting, retaining those workforce and talent? And how can leaders ensure that all employees, as Dr. Jacqueline said, can have a shared value and can have a feeling of inclusiveness?
Thank you. A lovely question. Okay, first and foremost, I've got to let you into the footprint of my life. I initially was born and brought up in an urban area that was very affluent, and we have had all the kind of resources that you could ask for. However, after I got married, I moved to a very rural area. And when I got to this rural area, I realized that we are teaching the same curriculum at school, but I was placed in a rural area that was very under-resourced. But the teachers had to meet the same goals for our national examinations. And hence I felt this was my child that I had to nurture. And I had to bring about some kind of change to ensure that the low socioeconomic background learners never got left behind. And this was, I'm talking about 1988. So for as long as that, I realized that I had to make a difference to education. And I started working at that very level from a very small capsule where I tried many projects. I didn't fail. I won't say I failed, but what had happened was I felt I didn't get the buy-in because nobody understood that inclusivity was a child's right to belong. And I started driving this kind of information through to say, we cannot leave a child because they are cognitively backwards. We cannot leave a child because the child cannot pitch at the level of the class to complete a curriculum. We had to have remedial classes. And I began in 1988, remedial classes in my school, where I kept a child in after school and during activity periods, just to catch them up to learn to read and do mathematics. And from that, I was fortunate that I was roped into a community-based program where I taught the World of Work program to learners that came from the deep rural areas, just taking them out from places where they had no laboratories, but they did physical science and mathematics, and brought them and got a company called SAPI Psycho. Now, SAPI is international, but we got SAPI to fund this project where we got tutors to come in on a Saturday and give 140 learners free tutoring in mathematics and physical science. And I did the World of Work program, where we showed our learners that you don't only learn mathematics and physical science theoretically. The practical aspect of this was so important. And then we started seeing the value of this project, because the kids started getting excellent, brilliant results, like obtaining 7 distinctions at the metric level. And then we got the buy-in from people where they realized that our learners that were left behind in terms of technology and having resources are now pitching at a good level. So I would say that any organization, for it to have a buy-in or to get the confidence of the public, it must be underpinned by a system that it has well-articulated principles. If you have a principle and you're standing alone and you can prove this principle or theory correct, then you're going to have a buy-in. And I can promise you, for the 25 years that I've been involved in promoting technology, it's called ProTech, I've been involved. I think I've sent out like about 10,000 learners through my hands, and all of them have now got careers in the stem cell career path. And I know in my community that was once a poor community, my learners, I have got the footprint in the global arena where they're working internationally, and they come back and thank us for giving them those opportunities. So the core values are the DNA that give employees or the agents of change a purpose. When you have a purpose, it's undeniably critical for a job satisfaction from employees, because you'll come to realize ultimately the values are critical if you want a long lasting, successful and motivating place to work at. And I find that amongst my teachers, if you're value driven, the organization will become successful when you can walk your talk. When you do things and you become a trailblazer, people will want to follow you. And you'll have to roll up your sleeves. And I promise you, in South Africa, we are paid a very, very pittance of a salary. But if you put that salary behind you and you put your passion in front of you and you do things, even if it's after hours, and you do that extra bit, in the long run, it really pays off. So I would say, to me, I believe your workforce must be actually driven towards a model where they must make a difference to society. They must grow society. They must want to become a picture, a face of society, that when they hear the word ProTech, automatically you can see progress moving forward. And I say, to me, the defining part of an organization is to ensure that you pursue knowledge, the knowledge that you get from the people around you. Don't put it away. Use every bit of information, every resource. It may be somebody that's not even qualified, but if they've got some kind of skill to provide, use that as a tool to drive your people forward. And guys, it's very important for your workforce to see that you are real. You're not a person that's coming out for your own growth. You're not coming in there for a self-satisfaction to put yourself on the map. Like I know after this, after my picture appeared on Facebook, on Facebook and wherever, people are saying, oh, wow, you deserve it. I think it's my hard work that has come forth. And I've already said to people, each and every one of you are capable of this. If you put passion first, passion will take you to greater heights. And also, I know I can say this with a heavy heart. You got to be courageous, because doors will close on your face. People will kick you in your behind where you can't even get up. But you must be courageous to stand up and continue to work and prove yourself. That's very important. By you doing that, you are empowering others to see that I may have come from a very poverty-driven home. I may not have had all the best of luxuries, but I worked myself up because I was resilient. I was resilient to change. And of course, when you create happiness in a workspace, automatically your workers will come there just to do their job and give you the full input to work. And my parting part to this question is always create a workforce that is united at every level. So I say inclusive education is not only inclusive education for your learners, it's inclusive for your teachers as well. Because if your teachers are dealt with inclusively, each one has come on their own merit, their own strength, their own value. And I say by creating a positive work culture and with shared values of coming to a mission and vision that's accepted by all, the buy-in and the branding of your company becomes second to none, and everybody will look forward to it. So I'm saying when there's harmony and when there's a working relation in your workforce, it gives you that edge above any other company. So yes, Hasina, I say inclusive education is not leaving not only your learners behind, but your teachers must never be left behind. And you have to pick up your weakest teacher to the highest point that they can get at. And your highest teacher also has to be inclusively taken to a higher levels where they also have professional growth.
It was wonderful listening to you, Dr. Nadira, and to know about your resilient story and how you self-critique yourself to build your organization at this level and give knowledge to people like us around the world. So now putting theory into practical, my next question would be to Ms. Shelley. As she's been a strategist to C-level and chair, how do you think can organizations and leaders foster a culture of innovation and creativity at different levels? And what are some of the best practices for them to motivate the new generation and new ideas? And how can leaders encourage experiments and risk-taking? Because now, with the help of technology, people are much more relaxed of taking risk. How can you foster that into the communities?
Well, that's an excellent question. And again, thank you so much for inviting me to join you. And I love to talk about leadership. It's one of the areas I focus on over my 25-year career in the space industry. And what we can see over those 25 years is how much leadership has changed. When I started my career in the space industry in the 80s, we looked at space or at leadership as something a leader did to a junior person. And we looked at the Hershey-Blanchard model of selling, telling, participative, and delegating. And we would base our leadership style on the employee's level of maturity and understanding. And we look at this in a workplace environment. And then we looked at there was also servant leadership, and that means helping others to accomplish their goals and being a servant leader to serve others. What we can see today with social media and the rise of the ability to create movements is you no longer need to be a leader appointed in a position of authority. You no longer have to be an elected official. You no longer have to be a leader in a company. So I appreciate you sharing my titles, but a leader is anybody who decides that they're passionate about something, they're authentic, and they have gratitude. And those are three traits that are critical: inspirational, authentic, and gratitude, and they want to lead a movement. So we have seen people around the world lead movements for change. We've seen young children as early as 12 years old say they want to lead a movement for climate change. They're certainly not in an official position of power or authority, but now they're leading a movement for change that can be sparked around the world. So those three traits that I really look at are what I call global transformational leadership. And that means those individuals are inspirational, they're authentic, and they have gratitude. So inspirational is that passion. They're passionate about something and they're able to articulate that passion and create excitement about it, create a vision and a strategy, and they're also able to execute movement. So there are a lot of people who are able to communicate an idea, but if they're not able to communicate how you can execute the change, then they're not able to really lead the change. They're just giving good ideas. And there are a lot of people who give good ideas, and those are good things. But leadership is also about executing change. That second trait about authenticity, it's why there are many people who are followed on social media or why people want to hear from them. It's because authenticity is about genuine. You're being genuine, authentic self. What you're saying is in your DNA. It's who you are. It's your values and beliefs. And you are connecting with other individuals, even on social media where we're so separate but connected. We can connect with people through our authenticity, and then people want to follow you. So it's that passion and excitement, but then you're also authentic. And you can tell when there are unauthentic leaders out there. And I won't name any, but I'm sure I see heads nodding already. We can think of unauthentic leaders and we listen to them, but we know that they may not really believe what they're saying. And then that third category is really having that gratitude. No matter where you are in your journey as a leader, you're grateful. You're grateful for even the setbacks or the things that take time. And gratitude is also about being a servant leader. That's where it comes back to being a servant leader and paying it forward and helping others. That's why I'm so passionate about being a mentor and a champion for more diversity and inclusion, not only in the space industry, but globally through the G100 effort to create that diversity by 2030 and inclusion. And so paying it forward, having gratitude for what you've received, but can you help the next generation and pay it forward and help others? Because when you serve others and elevate others, you also elevate yourself and you create a greater impact. So those are the three big leadership traits I look at that we need today and in the future. And that's that inspirational, authenticity, and gratitude. And that's part of being a global transformational leader, or as I call it, GTL. So again, thank you so much for including me this morning for me, but evening for anyone else or afternoon.
That's super promising answer. And I really find the spirit of sustainability and creating an value-driven organization and such an interesting conversation has bring up 4 such amazing leaders together to share the stage and having this conversation right. And let's not just, be with it and moving forward to the next question. The question is open for all of 4 of you. How can organizations effectively manage change and yet measure success, both in financial and non-financial terms? What are the metrics that they should use to evaluate change and measure success? And how can leaders assure that everyone in the organizations are aligned towards the same goal, like we spoke before?
Hussaina, I'm happy to start on that one. So I mobilize everybody around one agenda. To me, the most pressing agenda is climate change. And if you make a climate change commitment, you are already one of the organizations you're talking about. So I've just worked with the LinkedIn platform. They have 880 million users, to explain to every single one of them, via my knowledge, how they can do exactly that. So if you're on the LinkedIn platform, but you've already made some climate commitments, fantastic. But I have not spoken to those people. I'm speaking to those people who want to make it and they just don't know how. And so I've put 2 years of my life aside to be able to guide that change. And I mean it in the widest sense of the word. So many, of our member states in the UN have made Scope 1, Scope 2 emission commitments, and that's great. But when we go to COP28 this year in Dubai, we will be looking at the implementation of that. That is for business to step forward. And so the thing about climate commitments is they're both near term and they're long term. We talked about that earlier from a goals point of view. And I think that was Sarika who talked about that. And that to me is the glue that holds this whole piece together. It's actually being able to focus on that near term, but know where you're heading. And so there's an art to be able to adopt the climate change agenda for your business. I haven't focused on carbon emissions, although many of the UN member states are doing that. I've actually focused on all 7 greenhouse gases. Why would we limit ourselves? We should risk winning. We should make this happen. And I find the 191 companies, global 100 companies I helped this agenda through during pandemic, that was something that gave them something surprising. There's something that happens when you do what I'm articulating that I call the halo effect. It literally, everybody that surrounds you within the organization and outside of it benefits from that focus and that knowledge and that sort of approach, that roadmap. And for those companies, it has generally been, so on average across the world, it's a 6% growth increase for the company to do what I'm describing. And that's, you know, whatever anybody at the management level thinks in a company, even global 100 company, if you can add 6% positive P&L on anybody's bottom line today, that is something everybody is interested in. Even if it's not about motivating the passion for dealing with the human created climate change situation we find ourselves in. If you have to talk for profit, I want to make sure listeners hear that as well. You can talk about a 6% growth agenda that's underneath it. And because it has the near term and the long term, that's how it mobilizes. And I find that we're just creating climate champions across the world. Everybody does a little and we get to resolve climate change. And if you can adapt that, what I've just described, to whatever your near-term and long-term goals are, you will actually achieve what you've asked, Hussaina.
That's really amazing on knowing your perspective about climate change and how can we use them and create a 6% growth agenda. Over to you, Ms. Sarika.
Yeah, I love what Dr. Tyler said over here on having it collective. For me, where the leadership comes and talking about sustainable businesses, it's very, very crucial that we understand a good balance. And balance is really crucial if you're talking about businesses here. So where am I putting my profitability and where am I putting my purpose-driven passion into this particular project or particular business? So that's a very important aspect that I look into where we're having balances. When, as we all are thought leaders and we actually own our own businesses, working on multiple projects, I believe that every individual comes in with their own individualism, and they have something very, very crucial to offer to a project or a business. How am I, as a leader, actually bringing it collectively into the particular project that I'm working on? So be it on SDG goals, be it on I own the Middle East Startup Awards. So I work on the startup ecosystem here in the Middle East. So how am I bringing all these factors together? How am I actually weaving in all the particular elements together is very important. And that will get me my sustainability as a leader. The third most important thing, and I feel that a lot of people feel it's not good, but for me, healthy competition is a must. The reason why healthy competition is a must, because that's where collaborations come in. So where I can see where someone else's project, which is going to be a competitor to me or to a particular project, how is that competition actually going to be collaborative? And how we are creating good steps to move towards sustainable businesses. So for me, all these things actually weave in on how we are balancing each of the factors into a sustainable business. And that's where we are growing as leaders. And what she rightly said, when you don't have hierarchy in your business, because you deal with people who are like 50 with a lot of experience, youngsters who are coming in with great ideas, you learn a lot from different generations. And I think we are the lucky generation, which is in the middle of the technology and education and experience. I say the plan. I think we gain to stand to gain a lot, because we have one side, we have people who come with experience and education, and here we have the youngsters who are bringing in humongous technology to make our lives so easy today. So it's all about the balance on how we are actually creating the sustainable leaders coming into being, saying that your experience, your education, your growth, everything should melt into a good melting point, and that's how all of us will grow together. That's my viewpoint on this. Talking about, Dr. Taylor mentioned about climate, and welcome to Dubai when you're here for COP28 in November 30 to December 12th. I believe very strongly on goal number 17, which is creating partnerships. And that's something for me is very, very crucial and very, very important. I think, and Mr. Santosh gives us this platform of GCPIT, where we can create such amazing partnerships. And these will actually, even though we all are working on the same goals or same projects, there's so much of collaborations that can move forward, because we all come from different parts of the world. And that's what strong leaders do. They all bring sustainable businesses together and further grow it so that we all are doing well for mankind. So these are a few thoughts of mine where I would like to integrate it into this conversation. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Yes, Ms. Shelley.
Well, thank you so much. And again, I'd like to piggyback on that a little bit about the partnerships and space technology and how that may help us with the Sustainable Development Goals. Many people may think, space, why are we pursuing space technology? Why are we going to the moon or Mars or beyond, when there are so many challenges here on planet Earth? And I share with your audience that those are not mutually exclusive choices, that they are interconnected, because if you go to the United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs website, you will see a drop-down menu that highlights the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and how space technology is helping us to solve them. And so we know that for climate change or other of our challenges here on planet Earth, we need technology solutions, and space is part of our everyday lives here on planet Earth. Many people don't realize that. They think it's all about, going on to the moon, which we're doing, and on to Mars, which we want to do as well, and continue. But there's also this feedback loop of how that technology from space comes back to benefit us every day. Right now, we're talking on Zoom. Zoom technology, telecommunications, is a benefit from the space industry. It was created by the space industry. Many times when we have our telephones, our cell phones, there are multiple forms of technology from the space industry, from cybersecurity and analytics to also taking those great selfie photos, because the photographic technology in your phone, many of it came from NASA imaging technology. We think about women, we're talking about women today. Let's talk about the Hubble Space Telescope. What do those two things have in common? Probably the audience is saying nothing. However, the Hubble Space Telescope was designed to look for anomalies in space, and a company took that technology and applied it to the human body. And from that, we have mammogram detection. So thanks to space technology, we have saved millions of women's lives using mammogram detection. And I could go on with healthcare, laser angioplasty, eye surgery, osteoporosis. Many women suffer from osteoporosis. And what we've learned by female astronauts going into space and living off planet Earth in a microgravity environment, osteoporosis develops at a much faster rate. And so we're studying those effects of living off planet to help solve challenges here on Earth. And one company created an osteoporosis drug using manufacturing in space. There's another woman through Lambda Vision that is creating a lens replacement for macular degeneration, which right now causes blindness, and there is no cure. people go blind. Right now, she is working with the FDA and NASA to manufacture that lens replacement on the International Space Station that could someday return people's sight. So when you're thinking about space technology and innovation, and I didn't go into all the specific sustainable development goals, again, United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs has a great drop-down menu that talks about space and food and water and energy and education and gender equality, but space is part of the solution for our challenges here on planet Earth. And so again, I just wanted to highlight they're not mutually exclusive, they're beneficial and part of the solution. Thank you.
I now suspect that sustainable development isn't binary. It's a combination of multiple elements that comes into picture and then creates the beautiful world of future generation as well. So that was an amazing, listening to all three of you, and especially about the space technologies, how they have helped us in our day-to-day life. Now, moving to the next question.
Sorry, I didn't have a turn.
Yes, please, ma'am.
Okay, so I believe coming from the education part, and you may not see education as a business, but I say education is a business, because when you have a school that's run, is run with kind of a value system that stands up above the rest, you'll find every person will want to send their child to your school, and your school becomes branded. So the branding in education becomes a kind of a business where you find more people have a buy-in. So I believe that in an inclusive education system, inclusive education is a part of the Sustainable Development Goals. You have to create a signpost for your destination. You need to know where you're going to. And in this term, I look at it as so our short, medium, and long-term goals must be able to drive us to where we want to go finally. And when you look at teaching, in the teaching fraternity, and particularly those teachers that are not privileged, we have to create this kind of ambiance or try to create this confidence in them that if they do not have resources, you've got to make it available. And the problem in inclusive education is that schools are not equal on equal par. And as we had Shelley saying that she brings people on board and she tries to give help. Yes, you have to help those that are falling back. So when it comes to inclusive education and bringing everybody in power, not everybody understands how to deal with different situations. So I say when you have a framework that can help resolve problems, when you're a problem-solving person, you can find solutions to many problems that arise. But you also got to have a heart and an ear to listen to them. You got to see where it comes from. And our daily practices that we do, the daily practices that we follow, we must start creating like a bank of support structures, of intervention programs, of projects where we can bring network and collaborate with as many insiders, outsiders, global, and wherever, partner with people that can help grow a system that's falling backwards. And with technology, and I'm listening about even Dr. Jackie said about technology, and I heard the same from Sagrika. Technology is becoming so advanced. I feel that in an inclusive education system, sharing our knowledge over technology, just reaching out to those that don't have the opportunities, this can create the growth, the professional growth, and it also can create an exchange of ideas, and it can bring our third world country in line with those that are really upbeat and moving forward. The other thing that really gives me a kind of a concern is that not everybody understands inclusive education. Now, to me, there's two theories that comes into my mind. Many people believe that inclusive education is like a stew, where we have many vegetables put together and boiled up into a classroom, and everybody is supposed to be a part of the stew to create a school. But I look at it as a theory of being a salad where we have different veggies coming together, and with different textures, different abilities. And if we can look at everybody's ability and create a kind of a portal to deal with the different difficulties and different areas, I think we can make our society a better place. We can grow our society to a different level, and we can help build up confidence of people that can create a footprint that can resonate globally. And my idea of organization within the ecosystem of growth, it can only happen when there's positive buy-ins, when there's positive growth coming from people that have the knowledge and they share or they exchange ideas, or they create this kind of this free flow where if I have something, I can reach out and say, I'm speaking on a particular aspect. Can somebody come in and help me to share ideas? So yes, I'm saying to revolve when we have our employees, when we have our teachers that are taken care of in terms of making them stronger in their beliefs and stronger in their values, if we won't have a revolving door of teachers coming in and out of the system. We must keep our teachers that are skilled, and we must also skill our teachers forward. That is what I am saying. And my take in inclusive education is I'm always skilling my teachers by reading on and providing them with some kind of support structure. And I think supporting is one of the best things to grow an organization.
So now I believe the framework of building a sustainable organization does not always revolve around technology and goal-keeping and measuring success. One of the main pillars is noticing and implementing and contributing towards building an inclusive and diverse economy. So thank you so much, Dr. Nadira, for your valuable insights on the same. Now, I would like to keep going on and, talking about this, but with the interest of time, I would have to, pull out and zoom in a bit on one of the main questions which I have. And apart from technologies, we have spoke about technology, inclusiveness, goal-keeping and all right now. One very important question that comes to my mind is how can leaders lead with empathy and build an high-performing organizations where they just don't foster goals, but also they also dive into building an empathic culture to align their actions with the words that they use. How can we do that as leaders? And again, this question is open to all four of you. And one small, I'm sorry, if we could keep the answers short because of the time constraint, that would be best. Thank you so much.
I'm happy to go first. As the founder of the empathy economy, it's a question I get a lot. First question that I'll answer on that is, do you have to be an empath? I'm an empath. No, you don't. It's always good if you have some empaths in your organization, because they will always understand the heartbeat of what is happening within your culture. So they are sense checkers. But the best way I found to fostering empathy is making us as leaders accountable. So I'm accountable to my mastermind group, a group of entrepreneurs who have also, I'm visually disabled, I'm neurodiverse, so that's why equity is important to me. I surround myself with a group of leaders who have been with me on the journey since 2009. And so we all support one another. And I think GCPIT is doing something similar at a global level and blending cultures as well, which I think is hugely important. But the thing that from a holacracy point of view, where the benefit of an organization like that comes from is there is no hierarchy. And so actually everybody is enabled to be part of it. And to lead with empathy, you grow your own culture, but it needs to be checked. It needs to be accountable. One of the best ways I found is by introducing neurodiverse people into your organization. You'll find it's difficult. You'll find they find it difficult, but you will absolutely guarantee that you will understand whether you're leading with empathy, because they have no filters and they will tell you.
That was an absolute transparent answer. Thank you so much, Dr. Jackie. Anyone else who would like to take an attempt on this?
Yeah, I personally feel is how we see ourselves. And how we shape ourselves is how we shape our organization based on our experiences and everything around us. So the culture of the organization falls very important that, we get to align it with where we are going, what we are speaking, and how we are speaking. And if you have strike the right balance between yourself and your profession, your organization will be always following the right path. So I think that is very important, that you get yourself aligned to what you're saying, and everything around you falls in place then. Yeah. So for me, that's the key. Yeah.
Okay, can I go next?
Yes, surely.
Okay, I believe if you want to take your organization to the highest altitude, you have to have a positive attitude. And if your attitude is positive and you look at people you look at the problem with a solution-based end product, you certainly were going to get the fruits of good, sweet tasting fruits. And the other thing I also believe is when you have an employee assistant program, when you assist your employees that are in difficulty, it creates this kind of confidence that it grows exponentially in terms of trust. Your employees will trust you. So I would say trust and your attitude are two very important things to show that you care for your employees.
Thank you, Dr. Nadira.
Thank you so much for explaining and emphasizing on the need of inclusivity, and sorry for the tongue twister, and showcasing how leaders can actually lead when they care a lot about their workflows and their employees, not just about the goals and the revenue or the monetary benefits they receive out of building products. Dr. Shelley, your take on this?
Well, thank you so much. And I know we're running low on time, so I'll be brief. I think as a leader today, it's really important to have empathy and understanding of others, and that it's less about you and how you're empowering others. Because the most important thing about being a leader is you have to have followers. And if you're out there leading and you turn around and no one is following you, then you're just out for a walk. Empathy helps bring everyone with you. So I would say it's the most important skill if you want to be a leader, because being a leader means you bring people with you. So I will leave it there because I know we're running low on time. But again, thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, GCPIT and all the leaders, for giving such a broader perspective to me and to the audiences about how can we evolve around sustainability and build something that can be value driven, not just profit driven always, like that was the norm before. So thank you so much, GCPIT. And now I would like Ananya to take it forward and have a closing to this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Anna. And thank you everyone for your informative perspectives. So thank you all for participating in this knowledge-filled interactive event. Special thanks to all our 4 panelists and our moderator for your informative insights. Once again, I would like to say thank you from the entire GCPIT team. Thank you so much.
And thank you to you also, Ananya, for hosting us.
Thank you, Ms. Agarika.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been such a wonderful time joining you. I did want to share one proverb as we end. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And as a leader, we're trying to go far. We're trying to create sustainable change and inclusion. And that means we need to go together and we need to have empathy and be inclusive. So thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing all of you around the galaxy.
Thank you so much and welcome for your precious time. Thank you.
Thank
so
you
much,
all. Thank you,
Thank
Sana, as well.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.